welcome to the Root, the podcast that unpacks the truth behind women's health and healing from within. Today, we're talking about big brands and how they're potentially playing with women's health for profit. From plastics to bleach and questionable marketing campaigns, we're calling it out. So 2 really quick disclaimers. Number 1, I'm not a medical professional, and this is not medical advice. Everything I talk about is my own personal experience. And number 2, as Q-Tip said, occasionally I curse to get my point across. So if you have young kids in the background, I would advise that you wear headphones, or if curse words offend you, then feel free to exit left right about now. Okay, let's get into it. So for those of you that don't know, I absolutely love anything to do with branding, design, great packaging, slick marketing campaigns. So it probably comes as no surprise that I used to work within that industry, specifically within media, design and branding. And I've been fortunate enough to work with some amazing designers throughout my time in the industry, many of them that I'm still friends with to this day. And they taught me so much about, really good design. I've worked on fantastic campaigns such as music festivals, the Olympics, documentaries. There are so many things that I've been a part of that when I look back and I think about it, I'm so fortunate, and I can't believe that, never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I would be a part of such great things. But when I think back to the most important thing in regards to my time in design, one of the things that I'm most grateful for isn't necessarily something that you can actually put in your portfolio. What I'm grateful for is getting to see the manipulation behind marketing. Because when you work behind the scenes, you get to see how much effort goes into getting people to buy certain products, getting people to watch a certain program, getting a certain demographic of people to buy into a narrative, or getting people to vote a certain way. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So this is the thing that I have taken with me from my time in design and branding. And it still plays a very big part in my life today, because I can't see a campaign or any kind of advertising without seeing through the bullshit as well. Admittedly, the first thing I will notice is, oh, that's great font that they're using, or it's really slick narrative that they've used. But then you also see all of the smoke and mirrors and you're like, oh, this is what they're really trying to say, or this is what they're trying to hide. Nowhere is this smoke and mirrors technique used more than when big brands are marketing to women. So today we're talking about sanitary products. So that's your pads and your tampons. And I know I can't be the only one that remembers particular campaigns where women are bungee jumping or skydiving, all made possible because whilst you're on your period, you chose to use a particular brand that gave you the freedom to do all of these crazy things. Forget the fact that at this time of the month, you probably want to be resting, and that's the last thing on your mind to do. But if you wanted to, you could, because this brand made it possible. So you're probably thinking, well, what are they hiding? What they're hiding is what these products are actually made from and the harm that it could potentially do to your health, in particular to your hormones. So in 2024, a researcher from UC Berkeley conducted a study into female sanitary products. And what they actually found was that the vast majority of them contain toxic metals. So that's your arsenic, your lead, your cadmium, and so many other chemicals that are contained within these products that we use every single month. Some of them also contain phthalates, which are known hormone disruptors. Other things will impact your fertility, your cardiovascular system, your immune system. They will impact your kidney and your liver. And I just think to myself, how is this actually possible that these companies can get away with, number one, not telling us about it, but also using it in the first place? Listen, I don't know about you, but if somebody said to me, do you want to try this sanitary product? It's safe to use. It only contains 0.0.0.3% of arsenic. The answer would be hell no. But we place far too much trust in these big companies because we look at it and we look at the glossy campaigns, and we think, oh, there's no way that they would use things that could potentially harm us. There's no way. There must be some kind of standards that they need to follow, and there must be people checking to make sure that it's regulated. From what I can gather, these products aren't actually regulated, and this is how they've been able to get away with things such as this. And it takes me back to a conversation that I had with my sister-in-law quite a few years ago. And she was telling me that she only uses a particular brand, and that brand is 100% cotton, and they don't use any plastics, and they don't use any bleach. And I thought, well, that's great. But at the same time, why are we having to pay more for something that we use on a regular basis? Should it not be standard that we have products that don't impact our health? But unfortunately, where there's money to be made, people will always cut corners. And they will come out with standard things such as, well, it's only small traces of these toxic chemicals. So therefore, it doesn't, have a big impact on health. But my thinking is, if you're using something over a prolonged period of time consistently, then it absolutely will impact your health. And first and foremost, you need to be transparent and let your customers know that it contains these things. But the majority of them don't. It's all about pretty packaging, expensive ad campaigns, and there's nothing about the materials that are actually used. And here's where my problem is, because I feel that these companies should be transparent. Because if they genuinely cared about their customers, they wouldn't want to bring products to the market that could potentially harm them. And their advertising and their marketing would reflect that. Let's say, for example, they're wanting to market a product for heavy periods, okay? So most of you listening will know by now that heavy periods are caused by hormone imbalance. Why not start the campaign with, we understand how difficult it can be to deal with hormone imbalance with heavy periods each month. Whilst you're trying to heal the root cause of your hormone imbalance, we've created a product that has natural materials that won't disrupt this even further. Simple. You're being honest. You're offering a product that is a solution to the problems temporarily. And, nobody gets hurt. But no, that doesn't happen. And they're not the only ones. One of the worst lawsuits that I ever read about, and it really stuck with me, was the case of Johnson & Johnson, which is still going on to this day, by the way. So they used to have a product called Baby Talc, which I'm sure most of you will have heard of and maybe even used or had used on you as a child. And their customers took out a lawsuit against them because they said that the ingredients caused cancer. And as you can imagine, a large corporation like that, they just dismissed it and said there's no way that our ingredients that we've used cause cancer. It's completely safe to use. Bearing in mind what I told you from the beginning, how much money corporations actually spend into research, into marketing, and so forth, it's my opinion that they definitely did know that it had traces of lethal chemicals in there. And it's cases like that that make me think, if you can bring a product to the market that could potentially harm the most innocent and defenseless of us all, babies, then I have no doubt in my mind that you are also willing to use questionable materials and chemicals within products for adults. Absolutely. And it was one of the reasons that I absolutely refused to use any more Johnson & Johnson products, because you can't trust companies like that who will lie about toxic ingredients. Needless to say, that product was actually taken off of the shelf and replaced with something less harmful. So I say all of this to say that, ladies, we really do need to be a lot more discerning when it comes to the products that we use. And that will include the products that we put on our skin, as well as our sanitary products. The skin is the largest organ, so anything that we put on our skin will be absorbed into our bloodstream. And it's the same with the sanitary products that we use every single month. So we use it within our most intimate areas. So you really need to double and triple check that the materials that they use are what they say they are. Forget all of the glossy campaigns and all of the great packaging that they have. You need to know that it is natural and it's not going to harm your health. And for me, when I look at the packaging, and if it doesn't say anything about the materials used and they're very, very vague, I know it's crap and I just push it to the side. I'm hoping that going forward, something can be done about this industry in terms of making these products regulated so that they will have to deliver a product of a certain standard, and let the standard be that the materials that you actually use do not contain any chemicals that could cause harm to your customers. It's really, really simple. And if they can see past their greed and their need for consistent profits over people's health, then I'm sure that we can get there. Anyway, that's it for today. If you need any more tips and advice on how to heal holistically from fibroids and balance your hormones, please do visit my website, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.